it's Mr. Smith, and I'm here to go over our syllabus. So, first of all, it talks here about when you contact your instructor, like through an email, we will get back to you within 24 hours. That's our policy. So I'm usually really good about getting back to students pretty quick, but I do miss things, or sometimes I'll look at an email and I can't take care of it right then, and I'll forget to come back. So if somehow I do overlook your email, please re-email me if it's more than a day. And I will be probably very apologetic, because I really try not to let that happen. So my name is Scott Smith, and notice Scott is with one T, and so that's my nickname, 1T. And you can see my email there is scottsmith@dallascollege.edu. And this is a phone number where you can reach me. My office is J127. Office hours will be announced in class. This is where you can reach out to the division office if for some reason you need to reach them. Let's go down to the course information. So this is DMAT0305, and it's linked to BASM0053. These are both considered developmental math courses designed to prepare you so that you can go on and take a college level math course. And let's see, our section number is 21105. That differentiates us from all the other DMAT0305 classes. Of course, it's the fall. This is our meeting times, 9:30 to 10:50, and then 11 to 12:20. And we won't necessarily break at that 10-minute interval in between. It just kind of depends on how things are going in class. The certification date is September 2nd. I'll get into that more later. The last day to withdraw from the course is November 9th. So notice students are responsible for withdrawing from any course. I hope that you'll talk to me, and also there may be like your success coach or others that you may want to talk to. I think sometimes students will have a bad experience or a bad test. They get really upset and they'll make a rash decision and just stop coming. So I really encourage you not to do that. If at the very least, talk. I've had students that dropped, and I'm like, why did you drop? You were doing fine. So all to say, I hope that you'll think it through before you drop, and hopefully that won't be an issue. But the thing you want to do is just make sure you do it right. Sometimes students just disappear, or they come back a few years later and they find they're on academic probation, and I don't want to see that happen to you. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. So there's the course description for this course. It gives you some of the details. And that's for BASM0053 and our learning outcomes. And then you have the 305 course description. These are things that you can read on your own. You can stop the video and read it, or you have the syllabus and you can read it there. Student learning outcomes for the math or DMAT0305. And then Texas core objectives. And so these are objectives that the state calls us to, things that they want us to incorporate into our programs. We want students to leave with better critical thinking skills and so on. So these are all really important things to work on as you look towards the future. Employers really appreciate these types of things. Some of these are referred to as soft skills. So these are things you want to work on. These are good for us all to be well-rounded in. So required course materials. At Dallas College, your course materials, such as your book, or in our case it's my math lab, it is part of your tuition when you sign up. That's part of what we call the Include-Ed program. Now, it used to be in the past that you could opt out. I'm not sure if you still can or not, but I would just say, please, don't go that route. I've seen a few that do that, and it ends up creating some real issues right in the middle of the course. So, and it doesn't save people money. That's the main thing. So in this course, we will use an interactive software called MyLab Math, or My Math Lab is its old name. And it's basically a textbook-based software where you're going to complete your assignments. So you'll do that online, so it's important to have a computer and internet access so that you can complete your work on a computer. And to get started in MyMathLab, you just go to the home page on our course homepage and click on the MyLab Math link, and then any other MyLab Math link, and you'll be set to go. Just follow the directions. I think the first time you have to sign a license agreement. All right, this is the book that we use, and the author is very good, and she does the videos that are in MyMathLab, so she does a very good job. Calculator, we will be using a TI-30XS multi-view calculator. Actually, I think I'm going to grab it real quick. It looks like that. So if you don't have a calculator that you're really comfortable with, one that you can do, work with fractions and stuff like that quite easily, then this is one I highly recommend and one I'll be using. The main thing is to have a calculator that is easy to use and that you're comfortable using. So if you're not sure, you can see me about your calculator. Let's look at graded work. So for the BASM0053 part of the course, you'll notice that your homework is 15%, your quizzes are 15%, test 1 is worth 35%, and test 2 is worth 35%. So basically these two tests add up to 70%. And so that's how we determine your grade. It's based off all your work up to test 2. And you'll see that most of the arithmetic we do is during that period of time. And then the 0305 course is graded differently. You're still graded on the same assignments, but your homework is only 10%, the quizzes are 10%, the tests are 60%, and the final exam is 20%. This is more standard when it comes to college level math courses, so that will be our grading for the DMAT0305. Now, the grading scale is the traditional scale, 90 to 100 is an A, and so on. Notice, though, there is no D grade. And so it's really important. The thing about this course is it's all or nothing. You have to pass both courses, or you'd have to retake both courses, because we don't have just a DMAT0305 course. So you can't just pass the BASM0053 course. So it's so important that you make sure you give it your best shot and try to get through this the first time. Because I don't want to see you have to retake 2 courses. And I know you don't want to see yourself retake 2 courses. Description of graded work. So for homework, the nice thing about MyMathLab is that you get immediate feedback. When you put in an answer, you're going to know if it's right or wrong. And if it's wrong, you have access to a lot of resources in MyMathLab to help you understand the problem. On the other hand, I've seen many students do a great job on the homework, and yet they struggle on the test. And I think part of that is because it's also important to have a notebook and to do your homework in your notebook. Writing things down and looking at it as you're writing it down has a way of helping us to learn things. And the other thing is, when you get to a quiz or you get to a test, you can always go back and look at those homework sections, maybe make some notes as you're going, and you can see maybe the problems that you had some difficulty with, or maybe there's some things you wanted to make sure you don't forget, that you remember for the test. And so those notes can be very helpful when you take your quizzes and tests. Now on the quizzes, I prefer that you don't use your notes. You get 2 shots at the quizzes. You get 60 minutes for each quiz, and I'll take the higher of the 2 scores. But you might take it twice, and maybe the second time try not to use your notes, because if you can do that, that tells you that you understand those sections, and you'll hopefully be prepared to do the same types of problems on the tests. So if you're doing really bad on the quizzes, that's an indication that you still need to study more, maybe get on, some one-on-one help. All right. So we do have 6 tests, and each test may only be taken once, and they are completed on paper in class. The final exam is comprehensive. It'll cover things from throughout the course, and you'll get 2 hours to take it, and that's 20% of your DMAT0305 grade. So my late work policy, if you complete homework or quizzes late, there's a 25% deduction. When it comes to tests, make sure you're there the day of the test, and if not, you should be contacting me right away. And I'm assuming you'll have a good reason for not being there. Just be really careful about that. Just make sure that you're there on the day of the test and try to do everything right. You know, get your homework done, get your quizzes done, study, make sure you're ready for especially that first test. I always tell students, make it your goal to ace that first test. You don't want to get off to a bad start. Instructor-student communication, that's not too bad since I'm going to see you in class, but in any case, it's so important that students are using their school email for all communications, and that also means that you're checking your school email account. Now, if you have a smartphone, it can be set up so that you're getting those emails directly to your phone. Like if you send me an email, I'll get an email to my phone almost immediately. And so that way I'm seeing my emails. That's a nice way to have things set up. So anyway, like for example, I might make an announcement early in the morning. I'm sick and I'm not going to make class. And you don't want to show up to class that day, so it's just really nice if you're getting those emails whenever something like that takes place. That's just really important for all your classes. The other thing is it is school policy to use our school email, so I know we all get real comfortable with our own personal emails, but for any kind of communications with the school, with your professors, make sure you're using your school email. In order to be certified as attending the course, you've got to show up at least once in the first 2 weeks and start working on assignments in MyLab Math. Now that's a pretty low bar. It doesn't take much to get certified. That being said, if you're not certified, that definitely will affect any kind of financial aid that you receive. So it's really important that students are here during the first week, but keep in mind this is the minimum requirement. In order to be on schedule in the course, if you look at our schedule, which we're going to get to in just a minute, you should be done with assignment 2.4, everything up to 2.4 by September 3rd, with an average score of 70%. Now for the best results in this course, I recommend that you have an average of at least 80%. All right. Let me just check one thing. I think I missed something. All right, I guess we're good. Okay, so institutional policies, you should click on that link and go there and read about those if you haven't done that before. There's things like tutoring, disability services, dropping classes, and that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you know the policies, even behavior in the classroom. All those kinds of things are talked about there. So it's important, you know, I always try to get through everything that we have on the syllabus, but I may make some adjustments depending on this, you know, what takes place this semester, so I reserve the right to do that. And lastly, I want to show you the calendar here, the schedule. So you can see the first week, we basically have, there's this orientation that's pretty short. Then you've got 2 assignments on whole numbers. And then we have a decimal assignment and a percent assignment. So those are the things that are due the first week, Monday, August 28th. Is that right? Let me double check that. That seems like that should be the 20. Oh, it's right. It is Monday. Notice our class is on Tuesday, so I have my due dates set on Monday. I was thinking of Sunday. All right, so we're good. You can see that our first test is right there. So week 4 we'll have our first test, and it'll be on the chapter 2 and 3 stuff. All right, so anyway, that's all I have to say about the syllabus. If you have any questions, you know, you can talk to me out, you know, in class, or just send me an email. All right, that's all I have for you guys.